only ever hear about black swans under two circumstances, and it's not what you think. You hear about black swans mostly under a historical circumstance of like, hey, back in 2020, March of 2020, we had this C-19, and that was one of the biggest black swans that we've had in years. And this is a historical way that you hear about black swan. And generally you won't hear about these type of events until 6 months, a year, 2 years has passed. That's some of the common ways that you hear about a black swan. The most common way that you hear about a black swan, though, is when you're at a bottom of a range and a lot of people come out bearish and they short the markets, and then boom, they're absolutely wrecked. And then there's no longer a fundamental reason or a technical reason why the market should turn around and go lower, but the bears are absolutely wrecked. So what they'll start doing is coming out clamoring about, oh yeah, but what about the black swans? And the translation to this is, I thought that the market was going to go lower even though it bottomed. My shorts are absolutely wrecked right now and I have no hope in sight. So I'm going to pray for outside forces to save me and my trades. That's the translation. When you never hear about a black swan, however, black swans are real. They are a thing in the market. But by very definition, you, me, I, no one is going to be able to predict them, because that's the entire definition. When you never hear about them, though, is two scenarios. Scenario number one is actually before the event happens. I've never not seen one person under any timeline be able to predict a black swan with accuracy without also calling for 376 other black swans and being wrong 376 times before finally getting it right once. So you never hear about a black swan before it actually happens, because again, by very definition, you're not going to be able to predict that. And the second time you never hear about a black swan is when a black swan is actually happening. So i.e. the C-19 crash, that was a black swan, right? This is a black swan that actually took place. It actually transpired, a unforeseeable event that none of us could have predicted. And guess what? While it was happening, nobody was claiming that this was a black swan. And also, too, a thing that 9 times out of 10, what a black swan actually indicates, too, is the bottom is in. In our minds, we think that a black swan is going to happen at the top, and then that's going to shift the market, and it's going to go into a perpetual downtrend from here. But generally what you see is the market is really, really just kind of boring and maybe been in the slumps a little while, and then you have a spring in Wyckoff accumulation is what the black swan actually ends up being, and it's generally a bottom. And generally you're higher than where you started in a very short order after that. So do black swans happen? Yes, they do. They're a thing. They're a thing in the markets, but by very definition, no one can prepare for them or predict them. Preparing is the wrong word. You can prepare for them, and the way to prepare for a black swan is to have a little bit of dry powder to buy spot buys if the opportunity presents itself to you. But the thing is, if you don't have a plan in place, it's not going to happen, because you're going to wait for it to go lower.